Welcome to This Week in East Brunswick. This week, Mayor Ira Oskowski addressed residents in a State of the Township speech at his first of 4 town meetings. School board elections take place on April 7th. We'll show you the candidates as they appeared at a debate held Tuesday. And the Brunswick Square Mall sponsored the annual Community Day. These stories and much more are coming up, including information on how to pick a puppy on your pet doctor, the annual senior servant auction at the high school, and the new spring exhibit at the Quietude Garden Gallery. But first, here's a look at April's programming on Channel 8. Next week, Lenore Kulik demonstrates creative band techniques on Look Great, Feel Great. That's Monday morning at 10 a.m. Stories from the Library follows at 10:30 with tales about naughty kids. Monday night, Channel 8 features a special program at 7 p.m., the PTA President's Council School Board Candidates Forum. On Tuesday, it's in print at 7 p.m. and Sports Talk at 7:30. Wednesday evening, learn how to get your perennial garden started with information from Dolly Vasta and Peggy Ballister Howells. That's on For Art's Sake at 7:30. At 8 o'clock, The Arts highlights the New Jersey Folk Festival. On Thursday evening, you can watch a new edition of This Week in East Brunswick at 7 and 8 o'clock. In between, at 7:30, relax and enjoy some popular show tunes on Aging Aspects Spring Concert. Remember to tune in to Channel 8 on Saturday for a complete rundown of the week's shows. In an attempt to have a more direct line between residents and the town government, Mayor Ira Oskowski held his first of 4 town meetings to take place in 1992. The mayor began with his State of the Township address.
Tonight, I want to give you an overview, the big picture. During the rest of the year, I hope that you will have a chance to watch some of the programs which I plan to present, emphasizing in more detail some specific happenings in your township. There are now 44,000 people in the 21 square miles that comprise the township. The value of all land and buildings, including residences and businesses, is over $3.25 billion. Your township is a big business. The annual budget is over $35 million. The Department of Public Works maintains over 190 miles of road. The water system stores over 5.5 million gallons of water in our water tanks and provides an average of over 7 billion gallons of water per day to our water customers through 200 miles of pipe. You own 18 buildings valued at over $30 billion. This includes a property where Walmart Sam's Club is located, as well as 5 levels of parking deck at the Tower Center complex. You own nearly 1,000 acres of parkland and open space, including the community beach, and have a 99-year lease on and will own the East Brunswick Baseball Managers Association fields on Dunham's Corner Road. We operate for you the largest municipal commuter parking facility in the state, with over 2,400 parking spaces located at the Tower Center and the Walmart parking areas. This operation is fully supported by the parking fees paid by the commuters and rents from the building. Through state and federal grants, zoning requirements, township council policy decisions, and staff support, you have provided low and moderate income housing, approximately 400 units under the Mount Laurel Court rulings, 79 units of senior citizen low-income housing in the recently completed Oak Creek Apartments on New Brunswick Avenue, and Victory Gardens low-income housing through the East Brunswick Housing Corporation. To service any community this size with the activities that take place in East Brunswick requires the dedication of many employees and volunteers. Within the township staff, in addition to the municipal clerk and tax assessor, we have 7 departments, including the newly created Department on Aging. Approximately 400 employees staff these departments, including over 90 officers in the Department of Public Safety. In this total are the employees of the parking utility, water utility, and the community beach, all of whom are paid through user fees. Your sewer system is completely independent from the township government and supports its operation through the sewer charges. The 5 Sewage Authority commissioners are appointed by your township council. One of the most popular and most used facilities is your library. We are all very proud of the library. Although it receives over $2 million a year from the township for its operations, it is operated as a separate unit, controlled by its own directors, the trustees, hires its own employees, and establishes its own policies. We encourage participation in the many activities run by volunteers who serve a great many of the residents. We encourage them through contract grants, the use of township properties, applying for grants on their behalf, and providing staff assistance where we can. Among the different groups that receive this type of support are the Historic District of Old Bridge, the East Brunswick Museum, the East Brunswick Playhouse 22, and various youth activities such as Little League, soccer, Pop Warner, swimming, and wrestling. All of these activities receive some support from the township, but the major part of this funding is through their own fees and the hours and hours of dedicated work by volunteers. In 1991, the total cost of the township activities was over $36 million. This year, we are budgeting approximately $1 million less in total. Approximately 60% of this is raised through user fees, charges, grants, surplus revenues, and uses of reserves, and only about 40%, $14.5 million, from local property taxes. In fact, for 1992, my budget actually showed a slight reduction in the amount to be raised by your taxes. In addition to all the people serving as volunteers in community activities, many of you also serve as volunteers on boards, committees, and commissions formed by the township to assist all of us. Included in this are members of the Advisory Health Council, Affordable Housing Agency, the Coalition of Athletic Organizations, the Commission on Aging, the Arts Commission, the Community Beach Advisory Committee, the Construction Board of Appeals, the East Brunswick Community Housing Corporation, the Environmental Commission, Board of Ethics, the Human Relations Council, the Library Board, the Local Assistance Board, the Long Range Community Development Board, Municipal Emergency Management Council, the Planning Board, the Rent and Leveling Board, the Recreation and Parks Advisory Board, School Age Child Care Advisory Board, the Sewage Authority Board of Directors, the Water Policy Advisory Board, the Youth Services Commission, and the Zoning Board of Adjustment. The township could not function without any of them. In addition are the dedicated volunteers of the 3 fire departments, the East Brunswick Independent, the Old Bridge Volunteer, and Brookview, and also the Rescue Squad, who serve all of us when it is most critical. I promise you that members of the council and I will always support your activities and be ever thankful to you on behalf of your fellow residents. What's in store for our community? Do we have a crystal ball or any unique insight into what's coming next? I can only tell you what I see as my goals for the township. I want to slow the growth of the township. We have added no new employees, and we look forward to areas where we can contract out, privatization in the future. We must establish a balance between the future of the township and the benefits of the current residents. We need a balance between a development to provide us with the revenues needed to continue the quality of life you have come to East Brunswick for, and the preservation of what remains of the rural atmosphere of the township. While we are balancing that, we cannot forget the benefits we receive from the commercial activity along Route 18. Along with the inconveniences of the traffic we must bear, while encouraging business and commercial growth, we have to be careful not to give away the store. We must be ever mindful that Edgeboro Landfill will continue to be a source of concern for everyone in East Brunswick and the other communities adjacent to the landfill. We must ensure to the fullest extent possible that the operation of the landfill will not jeopardize the health, welfare, or safety of our residents. As a township for the last 3 years, as well as this year, your local government taxes have been stable. The council and staff have worked very, very hard with me this year to accomplish this because we recognize the economic conditions demand that we hold the line on expenses wherever possible. However, I recognize that there is a need to preserve open space. There is a potential to develop the community pool supported 100% by user fees and not your taxes. I recognize that many of the facilities which all of you use are not adequate. I recognize that much of the township's infrastructure is in need of repair. We continue an annual program of upgrading and maintaining the existing roads and drainage systems in the township, but there are many things we cannot afford. I promise if we cannot afford it, we will not do it. We also have a staff very knowledgeable on sources of grants and low-interest loans, which can multiply the impact of your tax dollar. We receive state monies for part of the cost of improvements to New Brunswick Avenue, the full cost of traffic signals at the intersection of New Brunswick Avenue and Old Stage Road, and one to be installed at Reaver and Hardenberg Lane. Other improvements to Hardenberg Lane, which will be under construction later this year. We also use funds from the drunk driving fines to pay for additional police patrols to enforce the drunk driving laws, and utilize cars and equipment confiscated from criminals to reduce the need to purchase equipment. We have contracts for the county for it to pay to improve Cranberry Road, and cost-sharing arrangements for replacing the bridge on Hardenberg Lane at Farrington Lane, a traffic signal at Cranberry Road and Evergreen by the club, and improvements to the intersection of Harts Lane and Milltown Road. We also have a contract with the Middlesex County Utilities Authority, which operates Edgeboro Landfill, to set aside over $5 million to improve the Edgeboro Road Route 18 intersection. I know I have covered a lot with you tonight. One thing I have intentionally not mentioned is the long-range financial status of our community. I hope to begin a series of programs providing you with a more in-depth look at the various departments within your township. For the first discussion, I have planned a roundtable format with Council President David Zarnowski, a CPA, and L. Mason Neely, Chief Finance Officer for the township. This program will go into the long-range financial goals and the current financial status. We will follow those with programs of interest in other areas. I want to thank all of you for the opportunity to serve as your mayor. Please feel free to call me with any ideas, suggestions, or complaints. I welcome your input. I am here to serve you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
School board elections will take place on Tuesday, April 7th. Here's a look at the 5 candidates running for the Board of Education as they presented their views at last Tuesday's forum, sponsored by the PTA President's Council.
During the years that I was a member of the East Brunswick Board of Education, many improvements were made to our school system. Among them, a new superintendent was hired, a new deputy superintendent was hired, a student assistance program was established, significant improvements were made to the special education program, a major project to improve the school libraries was undertaken, the foreign language program was expanded, and our children and schools continue to excel and have won many state and national awards. Clearly, our schools are significantly better than they were just a few years ago. But some would have you believe that the East Brunswick school system is broken. They say it's too structured and too centralized. I say they're wrong. Can our schools be improved? Certainly. And working to improve our schools is what all board members should do, instead of devoting their time and energies to making divisive and derogatory remarks about other board members, the superintendent, and members of the administration and staff.
I too, like so many other good people who decide to run for the Board of Education, want to contribute my time and expertise of making a good system a better one. However, we must rethink our direction. We can no longer pay excessive fees to lawyers. We have to be more truthful when talking about how many students we have or don't have. We should be guided by facts and research when planning expensive projects. We should be vigilant and scientific when examining new programs or even purchasing outside services. We should be fiscally conservative, especially in this day and age. And yet, we should always be socially progressive in all ideas, concepts, and programs that directly benefit kids.
Kids, that's what this is all about. The choices we are asking you to make tonight are important ones. The decisions that the board makes will determine the environment that your children and mine will learn within. The board hires teachers, support staff, supervisors, and principals. Amongst its many duties, the board approves textbooks and curriculum. It decides what equipment should be placed in school buildings and specifies how many kids should be placed in each classroom. Since every voter in East Brunswick cannot be a voting member of the Board of Education, you must pick someone who will represent your views. You need a candidate who will not lecture you, but who will make sound decisions using good old common sense. And in these somber times, it is important that your representative on the board knows the value of a buck. He must be able to find ways to keep our taxes as low as possible without sacrificing the high-quality educational program that we are all so proud of.
When I ran for the school board when I was a young man, I was passionate about public education. I cared very much about young children. I cared very much about the kind of education my children and my neighbors' children would get, and I cared very much about this town. And 15 years later, that hasn't changed one bit. My passion for excellence in education has not diminished one bit, and therefore my desire to continue to serve has not changed. We have achieved excellence in East Brunswick by maintaining high standards and high expectations. We have created opportunities for advancement and improvement and have seized opportunities when they have presented themselves. We have managed to become a leading school system while spending less than the average school system in the county or the state. When the economic climate is difficult as it is today, we manage to maintain what we have, cut costs where we can, and prevent the loss of valuable educational advancements. We face difficult and important decisions in the near future. State funding continues to be uncertain. Enrollments are going to be a problem. It will be a challenge to maintain and improve our excellent school system. However, with the right leadership, we can continue our record of excellence.
Well, maybe you've noticed tonight that I think one thing that I think is very important is I would be a listener. Only by listening to others can you acquire some of the knowledge that you need to become a good board member. I would also become a reader, because there is a tremendous amount of data that you must be familiar with. Thirdly, I would become a visitor to the school buildings, become acquainted with the staff and children, and to gain first-hand knowledge of what's happening. I'm also a very firm believer in the public's right to know. If there is a problem, the people should be made aware of the problem so solutions can be sought. I don't believe in sweeping anything under the rug. As a board member, I would never give the impression that I know it all. I would try to make my thoughts known to my fellow board members and carefully listen to their comments before arriving at a decision. From my observation, we must have more tolerance. Board members have to tolerate each other with their comments and try to keep things on a level that is what we're all here for. And obviously, we're here for the children.
To see the forum in its entirety, tune into Channel 8 Thursday, April 2nd at 8:30 p.m., or Saturday, April 4th at 1 p.m., or Monday, April 6th at 7 p.m. Silence reigns in a sculpture garden with an air of mystery, claims a New York Times critic, and that's what you can find this Sunday at the spring opening exhibit at the Quietude Garden Gallery.
We're here at Quietude Garden Gallery, which is a sculpture gallery in East Brunswick, New Jersey. And we are going to have our season opening show on Sunday, April 5th. And the hours will be 2 to 4 for the reception and to meet the artists. We have a number of new artists that are joining us this year for the first time. One of them will be featured in this opening show. Her name is Tova Beck Friedman. She has had shows in the last 2 years in Herzliya in Israel, at the Newark Museum, And as we speak, she is now showing at Sharing Plow's space in Madison. We would like to show you some of her work here today, and we see this group of 5 smaller pieces of fired clay, and she calls them goddesses. As you can probably tell, they are all pregnant goddesses. And during this stage of her work, which is from 1988 to 1990, all of her work seems to be about birth. And it seems to be the emergence of her own creative abilities. The larger pieces that we see on either side of the exhibit space are called crystallis. They are also of the same fired clay material. They still have that pregnant silhouette, but they are becoming more androgynous, and they are part of the latter part of her work in 1990. The 2 other pieces that we see here on our left are called Matrolonia, and they too still exhibit the same birthing or pregnant part of her exhibit. John Roper is also having a one-person show here starting this Sunday. He is in the front part of the property, and he works in steel and iron, and you can see that there's an altogether different feeling between his cotton steels and his stainless steels, and it's a far more masculine and a far more aggressive type of art than we saw with Tova Beck-Friedman. But I think that they are a very good counterpoint to each other's work, and that people, when they see them, will appreciate the thought that went into putting these 2 one-person shows together at the same time, because they really do balance each other out. If you would like to come to Quietude, our hours are Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11 to 5. You are also welcome to come at other times, but please call first for an appointment so that we can be available to help you or to be with you. Our number is 908-257-4340.
Last Thursday night, East Brunswick High School students filled the auditorium for the 1992 Senior Servant Auction. 20 male and 20 female seniors were sold to the highest bidders. The servants then were responsible to perform menial tasks, including carrying books and opening doors for their masters during the next school day. The lowest bid was $5 and the highest bid was $105. The profits from the auction were given to the senior class to offset the cost of their prom bids. In total, the auction grossed approximately $3,500.
Hi, welcome back once again to Your Pet Doctor. I'm Dolly Vasta, and this is my co-host, Dr. Brian Johnson from the Cranberry Veterinarian Hospital. And we promised you a very special series, and we're going to give it to you, How to Pick a Pet. And we have an adorable one here today. Brian, why don't you introduce your friend?
Well, this is a little puppy dog. It's about 3 months old now. This is of the smaller varieties. The right pet, there's no one dog that's the right pet for everybody. This is great in the small household, in the apartment. This is a nice overall general personality. It would be good with children. Some people like the small ones, some people like the big ones. But you've got to pick one that's right for your personality, your household. You don't want a St. Bernard in an apartment.
Yes, hardly.
So there's a lot of things to be considered.
What about when you actually are thinking of looking for one? Where do you go?
There are many places. First of all, if you're looking for an All-American, which is just as good as many of the purebreds, look in the newspapers, an excellent source. You can also go to the pounds. There are many dogs that we're trying to find homes for. These little guys like this, they'd be very inexpensive. They make just as nice a pet. This is an individual type, but there are many All-Americans that will make just as good a dogs. There are many pet shops that will give you the purebreds, or go to the breeding kennels that supply certain breeds of dogs. German Shepherds, Dobermans, or whatever you want.
What do you look for?
It depends upon you as an individual. Do you want an active dog? If you're an older person, you probably don't want a Rottweiler. If you want a dog that goes running with you, if you want a family dog, one of the best family dogs is a Doberman, believe it or not. Yes, I have one.
You're prejudiced.
True, I'm prejudiced, and my Doberman lives with 2 toy poodles, 4 cats, an umbrella cockatoo, 2 kids, and 1 wife. And it's a wonderful family dog. But on a bigger dog, if you want a family dog with children, get something that is going to be fairly tolerant. Some breeds are more tolerant than others. A golden retriever, a large breed dog that is tolerant with children is a good choice.
What else should we look for as far as health goes with an animal? Something about the eyes or what?
Every dog, every breed has certain inherent problems. The German Shepherd tends to have bad hips. The Dachshund tends to have a bad back. Golden Retrievers are noted for itchy skin. So you have to pick traits that you know you can avoid under certain circumstances, and pick things that are going to fit into your lifestyle. The best thing is to get a dog that is then examined by a veterinarian. That is the bottom line, because if you get a healthy dog, almost everything else can be tolerated. Don't get a sick one, or if you learn right away, then he can be made healthy, and then you have no problems.
What about male, female?
Well, there are 3 schools of thought, and if you take 300 people, one will say only females make good pets. Another 100 will say only males make good pets. And the other group will say it doesn't make a darn bit of difference. I tend to be of the latter school. I go to the personality of the dog, not to the sex. But I still think that in the general rule, it's the individual personality of the puppy that counts.
Well, with that erudite statement, hope all of you enjoyed. We'll see you again next week when we investigate picking up a kitten. Take care.
Hi, I'm Judith Lebline, Director of Recreation Parks and Community Services for East Brunswick Township, and this is our 3rd annual Community Day here at the Brunswick Square Mall. This is the once-a-year opportunity to come on out and meet with all the community organizations that make East Brunswick a great place to live. Throughout the day, we're showcasing community talent, everything from our cloggers and our 4-H square dancers to the senior citizen Hawaiian dancers. It's a chance to show community pride, and all the town's out, as you can see.
Hi, I'm Josephine Fiamingo, and I'm here with Irene Senek, a member of the Friends of the Library. We're here at the 3rd Annual Community Day, and what we're doing is we're telling everybody who's stopping by a little bit about the library's programs and a little bit about the Friends of the Library. We have library's newsletter, and we have information on Channel 8, information on the business collection at the library. We also have a number to call to show your support for America's libraries nationwide. We have New Jersey Nightline, which is an information service open to all New Jersey residents who can call a toll-free number and get their questions answered during these times. If you don't have a library card, you can sign up for a library card here. You can see some of the activities of the Friends of the Library, which is a very active group here. And we're also raffling off birthday t-shirts in celebration of the library's 25th birthday every hour at the table as well. So that's Community Day for us. We're 4 in 1. We have New Jersey Nightline, the library, Friends of the Library, and Channel 8.